All right, let's get started. My name's Ryleigh. I work at Serotonin, a Web3 marketing agency and product studio, where I support PR communications and brands. We have a wonderful panel here today, and I will pass it down the line for some introductions.
I start first. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Xing. I'm the founder of Extended Identity, and thank you, Serotonin and NFC Lisbon invite me to presenting amazing fashion in blockchain and digital fashion panel.
Hello, my name is Afrodet Zuri. I'm an art curator and an advisor, and I'm super passionate about digital fashion. I founded the vertical Now Media for NFT Now a few years ago, and since then I've been a champion of many, many incredible designers, some of them here today, and we're excited to be here.
Hi, my name is Coco Dolle. I'm a digital and fine art curator, a Web3 advisor, a former model in the fashion industry in the Y2K era, and I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, today we are here to chat about the future of digital fashion in mixed realities. When I think about mixed realities, I think that we are all living in them, whether that's Zoom, Instagram, TikTok. We are all jumping in and offline together. And so before we really jump into what that means, I'd love for everyone to define what digital fashion in mixed realities means to you in the work that you do currently. Yeah, who wants to go first?
I think people love asking what is digital fashion because no one really knows.
Amen.
And that's because we're all making it up as we go. And we're calling it digital fashion and not NFT fashion. So we're not forced to mint every single thing on the blockchain because not everything belongs on the blockchain, contrary to popular belief. So digital fashion is meant to be as vague as possible because also it predates most of us, our interests, our pursuits. Video gaming and those skins, that's digital fashion. Sims, Roblox, all of these organizations have been creating and onboarding designers and creating fashion for children and for adults long before anyone thought, I'm going to make an NFT of this dress that already exists in the real world and we probably don't need it.
Yeah, to your point, digital fashion is a very nascent economy. We're all experimenting here in the space. This is why we're talking about it today. I would say, as from a writer's point of view, because I'm also a journalist and I write about art, NFTs, and fashion. I just had an interview with Nick Knight, which is one of the major fashion photographer from England, notorious in the world, and he just launched a NFT project called Icon One. And I was asking him what was, his incentive of creating this digital fashion collection and collaboration. And he said it's to save the environment. So there's different points, entry points in the digital fashion that we're all experimenting. So I guess we're going to talk more about it here.
I might answer this question in a nerdy way because I'm a big nerd and gamer. Actually, I have a traditional fashion background, but I play video games a lot. I started playing video games since I was 8. I like a Pokemon, JBA, and 3DS, like a PlayStation 2, and then Warcraft, and then Roy Game, and League of Legends. I spent like 3,000 hours in League of Legends, and I bought like 200 skins in Roy Game. So that is actually the start about my obsession with digital fashion. And also there are some video games like Overwatch, like when I was kids, like that kind of digital fashion obsessed with me. Like when I was in the college, I studied traditional fashion. I think it's bored. Yeah, but when I saw like what League of Legends done with their skins and what like all the video games that are doing amazing design and their skins, I'm fascinated about that. And my career actually ended up with my interview with Alexander McQueen. I was applying for their virtual asset manager. And they're telling me it's like, what actually you're thinking about digital fashion? I'm thinking about maybe it's a time to combine the traditional fashion and future fashion together. Maybe it's a time we're gonna thinking digital fashion can be real in human being and not just in video games. So, I mean, I spent at least $1,000 on my video game. So maybe it's time I can try my video game skins with my reality together. So I got a really amazing opportunity offering Meta for me when I graduated. So Meta offering me to build the world first like a digital fashion show at London. For the topic is called Queens of Metaverse. And at that time, we have the opportunity to combine like a traditional physical fashion and digital fashion together in real life, presented in augmented reality. So at that time, thinking I'm a huge believer in digital fashion for myself, and because that is something I have been obsessed for many long years, and combined with my professional career together. So digital fashion, I believe, is definitely something I'm really interested in to explore in the future.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. When we think about mixed realities, we think about how experiences can be optimized at human scale. So when I think about human experiences, it's so spatial. It's about touch. It's about smell. How do we think about when we live in online and when we live in the physical world? Like, what is that experience, that relationship that we are blending together so that eventually these experiences feel seamless instead of, kind of integrated, kind of not integrated?
So I know I sounded a little negative earlier, and that's intentional because I don't think that we need NFT copies or digital copies of the exact same things we have in the physical world. Instead, I want to see things done better. And so there are incredible designers like Xing, like Glitch of Mine. The list is endless, right? And those designers are not creating this dress in a digital format for me to throw on in the metaverse, whether you believe that exists or not. Instead, they're creating the most beautiful, fantastic versions of things that you've never imagined or dreamed, because they are actual artists and they're creating things that are so special that they make me want, desire, need to be in a metaverse wearing these things, expressing myself as these things, instead of creating exact replicas of things that we already own. And I think that's really important to understand these mixed realities and not to make a carbon copy of every single thing that we already own.
So my background is not in digital fashion or virtual fashion at all. So I will reference an early fashion art collaboration by Dali. Salvador Dali, who's one of the most prominent artists in the world, who was a very, very transgressive artist, who said, "The constant tragedy of life is fashion." And so what? Because we are born, the experience of birth is extremely traumatic. So the idea of fashion is us trying to continuously finding identity and construction and kind of a healing of this kind of like suits that we were born with, right? So in the digital fashion, the virtual reality, this is just where it's a different tool. Blockchain has become an unavoidable world that we're part of. So I believe that that's what we should be doing also in digital fashion, kind of like this redefining the tragedy of life.
Yeah, I think the concept of your digital identity is something that we are currently speaking about. Coco, I know that you have a younger daughter, and I know that that generation, like my younger sisters, chronically live online. That separation that we work within is very native to them. How do you think that generation is going to help lead us into a norm where mixed realities is really just our reality?
So what's really fascinating is I think they're called Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
Alpha. There's Gen Z and there's Gen Alpha. Some of you are in the audience today, and you were born basically with screens in your hands, whether you had good parents or not. And that's fascinating to me. Like, your identities have been formed online far, far, far earlier than the majority of us, regardless of our other generations. And so digital identity is very, very, very important to you, to an extent that there's a really great Roblox Insights report. If you have, 50 pages of your life to just waste to read, it's fascinating. And it talks about how Gen Z and Gen Alpha spend this much time online, this much time crafting their identities. When I once recently tried to sign up for ClassPass or Mind Body, one of those, and there were 59 different genders to choose from. I was Googling most of them. I was like, what is Two-Spirit? I'll leave that. I'm going to leave you with that. What is Two-Spirit? But yeah, I think that this next generation is going to be fascinating because their digital identities are even more important to them than their in-person identities, because their digital identities allow them to experiment and to portray themselves in a way that they are not quite comfortable doing so in person. But interestingly enough, what the Roblox Insights report really shared was all of a sudden these children are experimenting digitally. It allowed them to experiment more in person as well. So brands they never would have imagined wearing in real life, they wore them online and they thought, oh, this suits me. And suddenly those sales went to these children. And I thought it was fascinating. Sorry, not children. Some of you are young adults.
Again, yeah, my daughter's alpha, so 2010. So she's a digital native per se. Her first shopping experiences were with me, yeah. But now that she has a phone, she doesn't need me anymore. I needed my parents until I was like 16 to go shopping. And she already has a whole list. She's like, Mom, look, this is my Amazon list. Okay, I made all my list. It has like 35 items. I'm like, really? Can you just narrow it down to 3? Because she's like, no. So they have constantly, like to your point, they spend hours online. So they have developed and they're developing. Which is interestingly enough, and this is where fashion is actually benefiting from this younger generation. There's a customer base, an economy that's bigger than in my generation, because my 10-year-old, my 14-year-old has an economy and a market value that I didn't have back then. She can click and buy herself from her phone. So digital fashion will be an extension of it. She has whatever Snapchats and all that stuff. I don't have Snapchat. So you can do AR, VR on Snapchat and buy DressX and all that stuff. So this is already I'm sure she will experiment with that very soon. So again, virtual fashion as a means to construct your identity, definitely.
Xing, I'm interested in when you are creating phygital and extended identity, what is the interest or difference that you see between generations interacting with your products?
I might answer this question based on data. We have been doing the customer research. We have done around 500 people customer research, and we ask them the questions if you have $50 on your wallet, how much money you're gonna spend on physical fashion, how much money you're gonna spend on digital fashion. The answer is 98% about our customers. They want to spend their money in physical fashion instead of digital fashion. And the next question is, if you have $500 in your pocket, and right now you have 2 options. First option is physical fashion, and second option is physical plus digital fashion. What kind of money you're gonna spend in these 2? And the answer is 49% about the customers, they are willing to spend money on the phygital fashions. That is a real answer data from our customers questionnaires. It's kind of showing something if it's just purely digital fashion, you need to have utilities for that. No matter gaming, social platform, or something like this, if it without utility, you just purely augmented reality or purely a filter, people think it's definitely need to be free. But another kind of utility is if it's physical plus with digital, I think the customer will prefer in that way more, because what we are targeting at is not just a minority customer. Actually, what we are targeting at is more massive market. The more massive market, so customers become more and more traditional. I think no matter it's Gen Z, millennial, and everybody, even I spent 3,000 hours in like video games. I still prefer something physical plus with digital. I think that is the reason why we want to build in this with digital. And another thing, like for my perspective about digital fashion is kind of like in traditional fashion, like a human time, at the beginning, we don't know how to evolve, we know how to evolve, and we make leathers, we make shoes, we know how to make a backpack, we know how to make luxuries. I think with a human like developing, and we need to make a new materials about fashion right now. And I believe like digital fashion and augmented is another new materials for fashion nowadays. And right now it's like still depends on the talent, brands, and everybody who accept it or not. But definitely utility is really important no matter physical or digital.
Yeah, let's transition into utility with luxury brands, following suit to digital native brands. What is everyone's opinion on keeping that essence of exclusivity, of luxury, when these luxury fashion houses are opening up their brands and becoming, in a way, more accessible? For years, luxury brands were this thing that was inaccessible to a lot of people. And now with the bridge to digital, we're seeing a lot more people be able to access and experience those luxury experiences. So we know that in the digital and NFT world, having that utility is really important to the user and the consumer. And so how do we understand what that relationship looks like as we continue to build on this technology?
I think it's important to understand that the fashion world is maintaining an air of exclusivity. It's not actually exclusive. If it was, then you couldn't buy Oscar de la Renta perfume at a CVS pharmacy, right? And the fact is that materials are very expensive. And if you've had the distinct pleasure or torture of going to a runway show, because they last 12 minutes, but you queue up for an hour, then you understand that most of the things you see on a runway show will never be produced for anyone because they are expensive, they are very time consuming, and they're mostly created either to dress one random celebrity or to create buzz on a red carpet. So the things that make money instead are their junior brands, whether that is a perfume line that has been outsourced to Bulgaria to be produced, whether it's a sunglass brand that's been outsourced to China or Korea to be produced. Fashion is not exclusive. It just has an air exclusivity. And so it's funny that, now that fashion has tried to co-opt Web3 and digital luxury, people are like, oh no, is it less exclusive? No, there's money in Web3. There's money in NFTs. And the fact is that fashion brands and fashion labels, they're not snobs about it. They want your money as much as they want the next person's money. But what's more interesting, what we see happening, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, is community.
Community, again, to go beyond a little bit or outside of the Web3 and blockchain experience, we have to look at fashion brands that are already collaborating with artists. What do we have recently? Have you seen Yayoi Kusama taking over the world with Louis Vuitton? You see all these major houses of landmark from Tokyo to Paris to London and New York. Kusama has collaborated with Louis Vuitton to take over an experience. So same with Christian Dior has collaborated with Judy Chicago for her last, for quite 2 years now, doing her fashion shows because they were a meaning. So fashion is also has to think about beyond utility. I think we need to really think about meaning also and the message that fashion needs to continue to develop. And without the artistic inputs of collaborative artists, this meaning can be lost very easily. So this is why these fashion brands, I think, beyond utilities, also need to collaborate with artists to bring more meaning, a message, a dialogue, a conversation. Everyone wants to have an experience behind the clothes. Everyone can make a T-shirt or a pants or whatever, but what does it really mean to wear that T-shirt or a pant? Is there a message behind it? I think those collaborations are very important, as also in the digital and the Web3 experience, because it can easily get lost in just the technicality of utilities. And a utility, yeah, everything needs to be of use somewhere, somehow. It's we live in an economy where it's a trading economy. We buy, we sell, like everyone needs to have a place to make money, right? So, but beyond money, I think we need to think about community and meaning, collaboration that are really touching people, sensibility, emotion. What is it really saying? I think finding emotion in digital fashion should be a good point.
Yeah, can I cut a word? Yeah. Actually, there's a saying in fashion industry, it's like they have a lot of brands in the world, but the money you are spending on which brand representing what kind of lifestyle you want to enjoy. Like actually different brands, they are selling the same shit right now. I'm sorry for my words. And they are selling same t-shirt, they are selling same trouser, they are selling same pants and something like this. But the different brands are representing the different lifestyle you are looking for. Every penny you are spending from your bank account, from your money to this brand, to that brand, to that brand, it means what kind of life you're expecting yourself to living for, what kind of life you're investing for the future. I think that is really important for fashion brands right now. I think it doesn't matter. It's like how like a luxury fashion brand want to engage with gaming or something. Gaming is a lifestyle. Gaming is digital nominated or like digital like lifestyle. It's right now it's a lifestyle. It's not like the traditional big houses that they want money. Actually, they want to embrace this lifestyle with their traditional concept. I think it's really good. You can see like Louis Vuitton collaboration with League of Legends, or like you can definitely see it's like some like a Balenciaga collaboration with Fortnite, or like this kind of like they are embracing this kind of lifestyles for their community, for their customer. And after all, it actually the customer themselves to choosing what kind of lifestyle they want to choosing for that. They have luxury like physical, they have luxury digital, if they have pure digital, it's fine. It's fun. It's for the customer who choosing that. I think for brand perspective, because I'm operating the brands, it's about we are offering these options to you. It depends on you choosing what kind of future you want living for. Then you're spending money on us. I think that's the reason why the brand want doing something like this.
Yeah. When we think about communities and when we think about how the fashion industry is gamifying a lot of the experiences for their users, by breaking down barriers and creating more accessibility and inclusion of, asking their consumers, what do they want to see? What kind of experiences do you want to have? If we were to create, a new division of our luxury house, how would you like to be included? What are some examples that you are all seeing right now that are doing this really strategically? And a little controversy, which brands currently are not doing it very well, but maybe think that they are?
So this is really interesting because maybe half a year ago or 9 months ago, someone reached out to me on LinkedIn and asked if they could interview me for 450 pounds. And I was like, no, thank you. And she followed up again. And then she told me more about herself. And I was like, actually, if you let me interview you, I'll let you interview me. And so we made up this appointment. And then she gave me homework, which was fascinating. Her team, similar to Gallup, wanted me to go on the Instagrams and websites of Prada, Balenciaga, Gucci, and a few other luxury brands and record my thoughts, my reactions, what I loved, what I hated. And I was just like, this is so much fucking work. My apologies for cursing. And not worth 450 pounds of my time. But I did it because I really, really wanted to interview this woman. And we get on, and it's really funny. And we spend the first 15 minutes me asking questions. And she's like, remember, we're here to survey you. And she'd been hired by a major luxury brand to try and figure out what was the crossroads of Web3 and luxury and art, which is one of those weird places where I am. And I was fascinated that a luxury brand would have spent this much money and time and energy on a survey that spanned months in order to understand how to be better. And that is what every luxury brand is trying to figure out right now, whether it's Tiffany & Co. making ridiculous crypto punks for you to wear around your neck and potentially get robbed, right? Or it's Maison Margiela creating a weird game that I never quite understood, but people would not stop talking about in a certain group chat, right? And the list goes on. And whether they're bad or they're good, we're talking about them. And we're talking about the brands. And we're creating community around them. So one of the biggest things that fashion has always been missing is community. And fashion has tried over the years to co-opt that over and over and over again. It's not a coincidence that when you go to Art Basel or the Frieze art fairs, there's so many fashion events. Who cares about these fashion events in the middle of one of the busiest art fair weeks, if it's London or Paris or New York? People care. And the reason they care is because fashion seems so sexy, right? And because it seems so sexy, all of a sudden people in the art world, who mostly don't know how to dress for shit, they wear black, suddenly feel sexier with that association. And then guess what? The fashion world is suddenly elevated by its relationship to art. And so that's what's happening now, is fashion is attempting to elevate itself in a way that they never thought possible. And the way they're doing that is they're bringing in new communities, right? They're elevating themselves by onboarding all of you. Because let's be honest, the majority of their regular users are not playing this Maison Margiela game, right? They're not buying a crypto punk to wear around their necks as $100,000, right? So new communities, new onboarding, and the experimentation has been really interesting to watch, whether bad or good.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about all these like major brands that are luxury brands already very established, onboarding Web3 and the blockchain. But what about actually creating a brand, a crypto native brand that would be native from crypto, built by crypto people, native, digital native minds, and with an incentive that comes from that community? Again, if fashion needs community, how about we build from that nascent community itself? So as a matter of fact, I've been advising for a native crypto brand that we're launching very soon called Merkle. And hello, one of the founders is here. Yeah, how about we look at another case study instead of looking at all those major fashion brands onboarding crypto? How about we start building from crypto outside to fashion? So we are building a brand called Merkle that will have all the mechanics from Web3, the go-to-market, building from that community. We're building a brand that is geared for menswear mostly, but it's also, there will be like a collection for women as well. So it's really like coming from a place that is not just fashion related, might be also an answer to this question. Maybe we should look at it from another place. So if we built another a new fashion brand from the crypto industry, from the blockchain community, and see what happens with it. So watch out, because Merkle is coming out very soon. We're launching. We just got samples out. So this will be like just like 90cc, G Money just started. You know, G Money, like major NFT collector and trailblazer and leader in the space, started his own brand 90cc. He launched at NFT Paris. So he's kind of he will be the leader of a new generation, I believe, of fashion adopters on the blockchain. And so Merkle is the brand that I'm working on.
Actually, fashion have community. There's a thing, do you know there's every fashion brand, they have their own CRM system. It's called customer relationship system. And they are doing the customer relationship system for all the luxury brands. They calculate how much money you spend for them, which kind of products you're doing for them, what's the time you're going to the in-store, offline, online. They calculate all the things for you, especially if you are a luxury like clients. Actually, I have been working for a CRM department for a really long time. And actually, we take care about all the customer we are valued really much. And we are inviting them going to our event or something like this. But definitely there's a problem happened with like a luxury community or luxury CRM system is like they calculate your money you're spending as a points. It's like the more money you're spending, you can be joined with your fashion show. The more money you're spending, you can have a one-on-one talk with a creative director. The more money you're spending, you can join next year fashion show, something like this. Also, they have limited products for the limited customer, something like this. They basically build a tier for their customer. At beginning, I'm thinking it's definitely not very good. It's kind of like you have customer, you make a class for them by your own brand. And but when I'm working with CRM department more and more, I understand the reason why like they are calculating this thing so hard. It's kind of they have limited time and energy, but they are trying to treat their customer who they invested in this brand. I think that's a traditional customer, like a fashion brand they are working on. But I think the most fascinating thing I feel from Web3 fashion brand, like Artifact, actually I'm an Artifact holder, but recently my crypto wallet is being hacked, is Artifact is treating all the customer as the same. As no matter you just bought a Clone X or no matter you bought just like a shoes, Artifact treat you as the same. Like they don't calculate you. They don't calculate is how much money you're spending on Artifact. They just say, hey, we're gonna hold a party in New York City, but as long as your Clone X pass, you just come. It's no matter you have how much Clone X pass. It's no matter how many like Clone X you have. You can just join the party, and also you can share this kind of like CRM points, which we're talking about like luxury brands to your friends, your girlfriends, or something like this. I think that is a fascinating about Web3 brand is like they treat all the customer as equal, and that is things I think definitely more and more we can see for luxury brands that gonna improve and in the future. It's excited, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when we think about digital fashion and the audiences or the consumers that these either digital native brands or luxury houses are targeting, who is the customer? Who is the audience? Is it everybody who has an interest? Is it people who have been operating in the traditional fashion world for their entire lives and are now, experimenting and testing the waters in digital fashion? And for that audience that maybe wasn't growing up in the digital native era, how do we use the technology to build around them and to help invite them in and make them feel they belong here equally, like everybody else?
Okay. So people love talking about how early we are. We're so early. We're so early to crypto. We're so early to NFTs. We're really, really fucking early for digital fashion. The fact is that the interest in digital fashion hasn't yet translated to record sales in digital fashion, and that's really disappointing. Could you raise your hand if you've ever bought or owned something in digital fashion here? Less than half of you. Isn't that fascinating? And there's so many reasons why. You're like, where would I wear this? What would I do with it? Where do I put it? In case you don't have a wallet. Well, what's fascinating is we are early, and this is a great time to start collecting digital fashion. These major brands are trying to onboard more of us. They're not extending their brands to the masses the way that we all hope that they would, right? Product Capsule, I think, has been one of the more successful luxury brand digital fashion collaborations. And that's been fascinating to watch, and it's been quite successful. But you collect a digital capsule and you exchange it for a physical item. And again, for me, that kind of takes away from what we're trying to be doing here. And whether that's sustainability, right? Whether that's designing incredible things that can be used in gaming, whether that's just collecting something so you can stare at it. I don't own a digital screen to display anything that I collect, whether it's digital fashion or art. I just check on it on my phone and my Mac, and I love it, and I think about it. whether I'm using it for anything. And so the audience right now is still really, really small. And I think that it's important that we understand that we are still very early for digital fashion and that we should be looking more into it and we should be supporting it because there's so much ways to grow. Imagine a world where a child in some remote village in Sri Lanka could get educated and on board and become a digital fashion designer and blows up and his name becomes bigger than Coco Chanel. And that's the utopia that we've been promised with Web3. This idea of accessibility, this idea of inclusivity. And digital fashion is one of those things that even if you don't understand art, because sometimes it's hard to understand art, you understand what fashion is. And so, yeah, I think we're all still building the audience and I'm really grateful that we're all here talking about it.
Yeah, and again, yeah, it is very nascent, very early. But again, we're talking about future generation here, which is laying the ground for other generations that are my daughter and so on. She plays in Roblox with her brother, and they get so excited when they have a new shorts or a new hats or whatever. Oh, look at that! I got it. Or they play at a distance, so remotes from each other from different countries. And so they get really excited when they have a new garment, and they're like, "Oh, where did you get that?" Like, "Oh, now you have a new outfit," while they're playing and killing things, whatever they're doing in a video game, being very action. So, yeah. So most of the utility and the audience will come from them. They will integrate and this digital fashion far more than I do. For instance, I can be a support of it, but the economy is just yet to come. And I think it's very important that we continue experimenting because the tools are changing so fast. In 6 months, there'll be like different tools that are going to AI, and AI is moving us so fast into directions that are totally unknown. Like next month, there's going to be something else that's going to happen, like chat GPTO now is like a full robot that talks back to you and like with emotions. I think there'll be more emotions in digital fashion as well. Once it becomes a bit more human, I feel that probably there'll be more people onboarding and understanding digital fashion.
It's about digital fashion education, right? I'm sorry, I'm kind of lost.
No, that's
Yeah,
okay.
sorry. Yeah, digital. Yeah. For the digital fashion education, this is really interesting because I might start with our brands, and actually we are selling digital fashion in our website. If you search in Xing Identity, you can find our website selling 2 different things. The first is physical fashions. We're offering all the customer who affordable a physical fashion, something like this, and we're giving them a digital fashion card, which is like the traditional customer who have been fascinated about our physical fashion brand, and they can enjoy something like digital fashions by purchase our physical fashion pieces. Another part about our website is purely digital fashion. This is actually for the customer. Actually, we have done really interesting a customer research recently. Is that actually the customer who purchased digital fashions in our website is not the customer who living in the big city. They actually coming from someplace like Houston, Chicago, Thailand. They are even some from South Africa, something from Middle East. So actually, we're finding out that actually the people who purchase physical fashion is the people from Los Angeles, New York, Dubai, Japan. That kind of people have money, have power, they can approachable to the physical fashion. And the people who have less ingredient or less distance with traditional big fashion houses, they are fascinated about our digital fashions. Some kids, they are even emailed us and said, "Hey, do you know that we purchased your digital fashion for my friends as her 18th birthday gift?" Even for her photo, she feels so exclusive, she feels so amazing with our digital fashion card. And they are living in a small town near to the Houston. Actually, this is our customer. This is our customer who have $20 in their bucket. They want to enjoy amazing fashions, but we can present them in a digital fashion way. And we are not big fashion houses. We are not like some amazing technology company, but what I can offering to them is the same as fashion. It's like a happy. Yes, I'm sorry. And last things about like I want to show you is like in our TikTok page, we have like 3,000 users who using our like digital fashion filter. Actually, it's all the people like you mentioned from Sri Lanka, from like a third country. They want to enjoy this kind of fashion by themselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I think that we are at time. I think we could talk about this all day, every day. Thank you all for being here and joining us.
Whose bananas are those?